Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, the so-called Gmail credentials leak and the ScriptKitty Redditor. A random boss calling me at 3 a.m.? Great. Especially when it's got nothing to do with my job. Now she knows what it's like. Why do some IT guys go bald? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. The so-called Gmail credentials leak and the ScriptKitty Redditor. So this happened today at my telco, as I was taking calls on senior line. When we heard about this leak of usernames and passwords earlier today, we very quickly all understood neither Gmail itself nor mail.ru had been hacked. We quickly needed to remind frontline staff that either way, the whole thing had nothing to do with us, as they were of course getting calls about it from some users because reasons. The topic made some headlines today, sometimes in a sensational fashion that suggested Gmail itself was compromised or that the data was generally current and accurate. What was actually hacked is a series of websites with shady security and plaintext passwords. Well-known names include BioWare, eHarmony, Friendster, Fieldropper, Xtube, etc., whom were compromised sometimes several years ago. Stolen email addresses of accounts associated with 3 mail providers were published, but the accuracy of the passwords appear rather low. Usernames are accurate, but a user would need to have used the same password on both the major mail provider and the compromised website, and then go on to never change it for it to cause a problem, but on 10 million. Yet there's going to be many valid credentials held by people who don't care or don't know better. What does that have to do with a Canadian telco? We thought nothing until I got this call. Bitewave, senior line, Bitewave, you may send me your ticket. Patrick, hey Bitewave, going to need a second opinion on this. He worked senior line on a temporary basis, meaning he passed all our exams, so I know he's good, and the call will go straight to the point. Patrick, lady here says she can't log in her email. We can go and find, so I was about to say it's on her end, but she tested it on 2 computers and her tablet with multiple browsers, with or without router, same deal. Everything else works. So I had her disable Wi-Fi on her smartphone, and using data it went through. Mail provisioning is obviously fine. Got any idea? He had already gone through all the normal troubleshooting, kind of call I like. Bitewave, okay, so mail auth fails, only for her cable modem's IP address? That's new, or rather that's quite old. We haven't done IP bans to the mail servers since the spam age, and there's no notes about it. But I can't think of anything else. Even then it was rarely used, 99% of the time we'd disconnect problem users. But there were special cases when such tools were preferable, like a customer with multiple static IPs with only one offender or blocking a single network adapter causing problems from an open Wi-Fi spot. I follow my gut instinct and dig up a very old bookmark to an intranet page where such bans of IPs or network adapters were listed automatically. It's still up after all these years later. And my customer's IP and 2 of her MAC addresses are blocked from the POP and SMTP with recent timestamps, no notes anywhere. Normally this must be greenlit by internal security. I put Patrick on hold. IS has no answers for me, they say they're the only ones supposed to do it, but if it had been them there would be a flag on the account, and they didn't touch it. Okay then, the only others I can think of with access are the mail admins. Bitewave with senior staff, I have blacklisted network adapters and a single IP address without IS approval. They haven't used this in a long time, I just wanted to see if. Mail systems, yeah, I'm your guy. I got an alert earlier that failed POP login attempts with non-existent usernames were spiking through the roof. Honestly, took me hours to get to it, but then I found out they're all from this IP. I didn't wait for IS, I'd have just disabled the modem, but we lost access to provisioning tools in the security review. It takes a second to sink in that there's still major telco, whose POP server lacks any automatic lockout, even after thousands of attempts with invalid logins. Sure, we'll lock out a specific account if you type the wrong password a few times. 60,000 different accounts you hit once each? If the mail admin gets to it, maybe he'll care to do something about it manually in 4 hours or so. Bytewave, so you're telling me the pop got hammered by some script with random usernames? Any matches or breaches? Mail systems, that's the good part. There's well less than 0.5% of valid addresses, which is very low, but the attacker got into a few still, which isn't the end of the world but translates into a somewhat worrying percentage of auths amongst valid boxes. Seems like he had some sort of partial data on passwords, and it operated fast too. I'm getting IS on it as soon as I'm done typing it up, and I'm monitoring this, should be fine on my end. Your end user will get a call from them. Bytewave, wait, this is too juicy to just pawn off. I have a theory I can test right now. Are you swamped? Because if you have 5 minutes, I need some of the addresses, both failures and those that got through. Mail systems, no fires to put out, why not? I assume by now that password leak must be spread pretty widely, it's the internet after all. I bypassed the work proxy with my usual clean Wi-Fi, and the internet delivers as usual. Takes about a minute to find and snatch it. I discard the Yandex and mail leaks right away. A ton of our customers use Gmail though. Open that in Notepad++. Just a long list of Gmail addresses with passwords stolen from third parties that may or may not work anymore. Mail systems chat, here's some of those that don't exist in our system and just bounced. File attached. He sends me several, of course all in at mytelco.ca form. I change. Asterisk at mytelco.ca for asterisk at gmail.com, boom, it's on the list. After 3 on 3, I'm sold. Bytewave, it's the credentials leak. The script kiddie on the other end is just fishing for people who might also be our customers, using identically named addresses on both our domain and Gmails, and who are still reusing the same password. He just got lucky a few times, but out of these 5 million there's statistically quite a few more. Dawned on me that any large ISP with similarly sh*tty mail security could be hammered in the same way for a few handfuls of valid accounts of random people reusing usernames and passwords everywhere, though it's anyone's guess what could be gained from that. And you'd most likely be locked out swiftly. Elsewhere, anyhow. Mail systems, yeah, with those numbers I figured the attacker needed some source of at least partially valid data, that makes sense. We're just setting up a temp ban for multiple wrong usernames, should prevent further attempts. I checked the accounts he got into. Little of value was endangered. We'll coordinate with IS then? That temp ban idea should have been up long ago. By now, I've kind of figured the lady we had on the phone wasn't our scripter fishing for random valid logins. More than likely the other email address registered in her account that ended with a 98-foot belonged to the guilty party. Most likely a 16-year-old teen. I search for that username and, with much irony, reusing usernames, find every trace of online life you can expect from a careless teenager, up to and including a Reddit account under that very name. And he posted a comment in a post about the password leak. If you're reading this, slow clap. At least he's not reusing passwords. Bytewave, okay, I'll coordinate with you, but would you have a use for the script that was used? I know you can't see billing data, but this account belongs to a lady with a teenager who is likely responsible, there's decent circumstantial evidence. We could probably. Mail systems, nah, write it all down for IS, but we're not running such a script voluntarily on my watch. We're lucky it just caused a slight slowdown, you know how old the hardware is, right? Besides, people reusing usernames and passwords are beyond any mail admin's help. Right. Out of my hands then, so I just filed everything, down to the semi-incriminating Reddit comment from someone using the same alias as the customer's kid. I was forced to tell Patrick that even though we had found the cause of the problem, she'd need to wait for our security team to call her before we could explain the details. All of Bytewave's tales on TFTS. A random boss calling me at 3 a.m.? Great. Especially when it's got nothing to do with my job. Given it's early/late and I can't sleep, this tale seems appropriate. I routinely submit stories that highlight the benefits of the strong union at my telco, and I figure it's time to post one where the work contract might be a bit more controversial. It happened a few months ago. Phone rang at 3 a.m. Everyone should be asleep, but I'm not. I have a sleep issue. A good night for me is about 4 hours. Might seem shocking, but I actually function just fine on that much. As a result, I'm often already up or still up at 3 a.m., as I was on that night. Network's boss, Bitewave? Sorry to bug you so late, but you're the guy with most seniority who voluntarily approved 24-hour overtime for emergencies according to the list. And Bitewave, yeah, sure. Don't apologize. I did, and I was up, plus you know the work contract terms. This call ends with me getting paid 5 hours at twice my hourly rate. Even if it lasts 5 minutes, you're making my night. What's up? Network's boss, switchboard issue. Charlie and Delta been down for 75 minutes, and even at night that's a problem. The landline queue is red. And Bitewave, wait, switchboards. The hell that has to do with me? Switchboards are union too. I can't do their job without breaching the work contract. You were supposed to call them for. Network's boss, I know. The night guy there called in sick, so we called all his colleagues who volunteered for nighttime overtime like you. Nobody answered. My guys can't do anything, and I figured since senior staff works with switchboards that much and you have access to some tools. Hell of a stretch. I have little experience troubleshooting switchboard issues on my own, even though I work daily with that team. Bitewave, sure, if you called every volunteer and got no contact, it's okay to call down based on the emergency overtime protocols. But while I'll do my best for the next 5 hours as per the WC, I have zero access to the tools nor much relevant experience. Network's boss, I know you don't. But I can't call anyone else at switchboards. They have to be on the volunteer list, otherwise I can't even offer overtime between 10 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. Oh. The guy isn't clueless. He actually figured out the work contract faster than I did. I must have been a bit drowsy. I blushed a bit. It was late, and I didn't expect a manager to get the subtleties without getting HR involved. Anyhow, he did the right thing. Bitewave. Okay, just got it. This call being now recorded, I have your word that emergency overtime protocols will apply to anyone I can get you? Network's boss, yes, obviously. If you can get me one of switchboard's guys, I can't call. I'm not just paying your 5 hours, we're having lunch tomorrow on me. This is why you want to be on the emergency list, assuming you also don't really get to sleep at night, anyhow. I send a mass text to my contacts at switchboards first, and once that fails, I call my best contact over there. Rodriguez, ZZZZ. Da F asterisk CK? It's like 4 a.m., who is this? Bitewave. Got an hour's work that's going to pay off more than a day's, and I knew you could use the cash. I'll wait if you need some coffee first. He didn't. He was thrilled. That's the only thing I actually did there, calling the guy who I knew would be all over this even if he hadn't signed off on nighttime OT. Once I explained, Rodriguez, I should sign up for the emergency list. Logging in my telework station now. Should be able to fix this quick. Bitewave, some people need to sleep at night, but I figured 10 hours worth of pay wasn't something you'd pass up, haha. I'll tell Network's manager that you're on it. And that you're having lunch with us tomorrow on his dime. Least he can do. All of Bitewave's tales on TFTS. Now she knows what it's like. I work on an IT service desk and my partner works in a food shop. She was off yesterday and kept getting called by her manager. She answered on the third time and her manager asked, how do I use this CCTV? Bearing in mind this is a system that she could use multiple times a day, and she's worked in that shop for a good few years now, so she should know exactly how to use it. She asked how to log on to it and my partner talked her through it multiple times, turns out she was trying to log in as an admin instead of a user. Once she eventually got to the user login, she couldn't remember the password, even though it is and always has been the name of the shop ID number, and a full stop. My partner reminded her of this, and still after multiple tries she couldn't get logged in, and saying the password wasn't working. She eventually got on after about 10 minutes and hung up. My partner, she came and told me, and I just laughed and said yep. Welcome to my life every call. Why do some IT guys go bald? Just a couple stories to help my fellow trench workers smile today. Story 1. This morning the boss's wife couldn't log into the system. Her password kept locking her out. After resetting the lockout and password several times, I was ordered to make the drive and see why she couldn't get in. First things first, I tell her not to keep trying until I get there, 15 minutes out. She does and locks her account again. Once again I unlock her account, then stand behind her telling her to try again. After watching her I reach over, turn on numlock. Works the second time. Story 2. This case was ongoing. It literally has taken me weeks to figure it out. Accountant's computer shuts off then restarts while working. I check and see no reason it is being shut down. Swap out her workstation after running several tests, and it is fine for a week. Then it happens to the new workstation. Thinking it must be environment, I test the outlet and replace the power strip. Outlets for computers are on battery backup. System seems to be fine for a few days, then it happens again. This time I ran a cord to another outlet with a battery backup just to see if the outlet was acting up. It wasn't until multiple fails I figured out the problem. During wet cold weather the accountant wore boots to work. Once at her desk she would take off her boots. Occasionally she would run her toes over the power strip pressing the reset button.